The Obsession with Obsession's art director, An Autopsy of Summertime Sadness, more bad cameos, and Mellon vs. Halsey. Over 330 exclusives, and support your favorite angry Canadian at patreon.com/doseofbuckley. I need to ask you guys to help me with a bit of a sanity check, would you? Like, is my anger toward influencers and IRL content creators completely irrational? Like, I saw a video the other day of some adult at a theme park for children freaking out over a SpongeBob-themed ice cream holder, wagging his finger at staff and slamming the table like a baby. And all I could think was, I wonder how much weight would be needed to counteract his natural buoyancy. Am I the one in the wrong here? Or there's this Big Groove character who, like, dances in restaurants and sometimes eats food off other people's plates. I'm sure it's all staged and the restaurants are in on it, and they even like this publicity. But I'm irritated, and I'm not even there. I can only imagine how pissed I'd be if I was a paying customer and some main character syndrome asshat started doing this. But again, am I the insane one? Over 2 million people follow this guy on Instagram. 2 million human beings clicked a button to say, I need to know when funny dancing hungry man does hungry dance again. Tell me when hungry dance happens. Is this the final form of the old man yelling at clouds? Or have I not even begun to peak? Again, please tell me if I'm the insane one. But you know who's making sure I don't feel so alone in this world? Justice systems around the world. You know I love to bring up that Nuisance streamer that got shot by a food delivery driver, and the court said, yeah, you were justified in shooting that prick. That's probably my favorite story of 2023. That streamer hasn't learned his lesson, by the way. Made a video harassing people on the street just 3 months ago, risking another bullet for less than 7,000 views. What a life. But I want to talk about two slightly more recent stories. I already know I'm going to get shit from some people for this. Buckley, these are old. Yeah, some people got loved ones, okay? Not everyone's on Twitter all day. But I wanted to talk about Johnny Somali and Chud the Builder. We'll start with the older case, Johnny. If you're not familiar with this character, he's a Nuisance streamer who has spent the last several years pulling the most juvenile, I'm 13 and edgy stunts in Asian countries. In Japan, he would ride subway trains and shout, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, we'll do it again, and ran onto a construction site to yell, Fukushima. 23-year-old man at this point. I'm just gonna yell places where national tragedies happened. It'd be like filming yourself running around New York going, 9/11, 9/11. It's not clever, and people would laugh if you got decked, which apparently citizens would often do to Johnny. He got beat up several times. Anyway, he overstayed his welcome in Japan and went to South Korea, where he pulled more grade school nonsense, playing loud music in restaurants and convenience stores and intentionally spilling noodles on the floor, and then filmed himself kissing and molesting statues that pay tribute to wartime sex slaves. And if that wasn't enough, he also made AI videos of himself making out with some South Korean streamer, which they got laws against. And while Japan was pretty lenient, they only fined him $1,400 for his nonsense, South Korea said, no, we're not putting up with this shit. They arrested him in November of 2024, where he's been barred from leaving the country ever since. So he's effectively been detained for a year and a half. Finally, they have a trial for him this year, where they sentence him to 6 months in prison. Well, that's not so bad, right? Well, in the South Korean prison system, inmates are required to work 8 hours a day, which would be the first time this fucko has ever had to do any sort of labor in his entire life, which scared the piss out of him. I mean, look at this slimy noodle arm nothing. He wouldn't last a day doing manual labor, never mind 180 of them. So he appealed, but get this, the prosecutors appealed too. They were like, 6 months? Well, that's not enough. They wanted him to spend 3 years in prison. Oh, and for added fun, Johnny's lawyer reportedly said, yeah, no thanks, and dropped him as a client. So, he spends 2 more months detained awaiting his appeal, which happened on June 25th. And the judges go, no, we were right the first time, and uphold the 6-month sentence. I was personally rooting for the additional 3 years, which would have meant 4.5 years in total, but this means by the time he's done his 6 months in the labor prison, he'll have spent over 2 years in police custody. Which, 2 years of this maggot's life wasted, and he's been banned on every platform, so when he gets out, he won't be able to make any money? That's still pretty funny. Buckley, you think a person deserves 4.5 years of imprisonment for throwing noodles on the ground in a convenience store and kissing a statue? Have you not watched any of my content? 14 years ago, I suggested that police should run a pincer movement on unruly teenagers and gas them for a St. Patrick's Day party that got out of control. Fuck Johnny Somali and all Nuisance streamers. If it were up to me, they'd toss him in the joint security area and let the North and South guards play a game to see who tags him first. So, let's head back to the good old US of A to talk about Chud the Builder. His supervillain origin story is that he blames black people for losing his job at a construction company, all because he called a black woman the N-word in a road rage incident. So he started streaming himself walking around the streets of Tennessee calling black people chimps and trying to instigate fights. In a video a couple months ago, he kept calling a black person the N-word while holding mace out, begging the guy to do something so that he could spray him. You wanna know how shitty this dude is? Nick Fuentes, a man who openly and proudly considers himself a white nationalist, thinks that what Chud the Builder does is unethical. That approach of antagonizing people in public, I think it's wrong. When Nick Fuentes is like, no, sorry, that guy's too racist for me. That's like Hitler telling someone, whoa, calm down with the Jew hate, buddy. So in May, he actually gets arrested for this incident where he refuses to stop live streaming at a restaurant, but he's ordered like $300 worth of food. He refuses to pay for it, all the while shouting, "Do you know who I am?" at the manager. You're nobody. According to Streams charts, before he got banned, he was pulling an average of 86 viewers a stream.
So, do you know who I am?
No, no one does. At least not at this point. They let him out on a $5,000 bond with a hearing scheduled for July 17th. But some of you know that's small potatoes compared to what happens next. A few days later, he's at a courthouse because he owes $3,000 to a credit card company. This guy's life just gets sadder and funnier. Anyway, never missing an opportunity to turn life into content, he films himself yelling at black people again, a guy confronts him, Chud pulls out a gun, shoots himself in the arm like a fucking idiot because he of course doesn't know how to handle a firearm properly, then manages to shoot the dude he was antagonizing in the stomach. He gets arrested and is charged with attempted murder, a potential life sentence. And the judge in the case, he's had enough of these cunts clearly, because he sets the bail at $1.2 million. Which fuckface doesn't even have $300 for food or $3,000 for a credit card bill. In case you missed it in that one video, he had 178 paying subscribers. He doesn't have $1.2 million. Chud cries, oh, that's too much. So the judge goes, you know what? You're right. We'll reduce it to just a paltry $1 million. Oh, and you can't use crowdfunding for it. And you need to have 10 different bond companies to work the case. Like, whoever this judge is, he must fucking hate streamers. Chud's lawyer said, well, but we can only get 2 bond companies to work the case. Oh well, too bad. And so as I write this, he's been in jail for over a month. They played a clip in court of him gleefully predicting that this would happen months ago. It's only proper escalation. It's inevitable. Just imagine the headline. Chud the Builder kills a black man. It's almost like it's gonna happen. Yeah, because you walk around with a gun in your pocket, antagonizing black people, big stupid grin on your face, shouting racial slurs, and daring people to attack you. It's inevitable that the thing I want to have happen will happen. And because it can get funnier, there are reports that because of all this, he will be evicted from his trailer. This guy couldn't be a bigger walking stereotype. But a fundraiser to get him a new hovel claims Chud has spent years peacefully exercising his First Amendment rights. What's peaceful about holding up a can of mace, calling people slurs, and telling them he's got something else for them? Well, this judge has a new home for him. It might actually be more spacious than his old one. And so again, I feel like my sanity will be tested here. I can't be the only one rooting against this dude who looks like a broke 80s porn star, right? Because if they play these clips for a jury, any of these clips showing a pattern of him intentionally trying to start fights so that he can have an excuse to shoot someone, admitting that's what he's doing, and they don't convict him, they go, actually, what he's doing is perfectly normal and reasonable, and he should be allowed to continue to do it. Then lock me in a padded room and book my 10 a.m. electroshock therapy. Clamp it straight to my nuts, because clearly I'm the insane one.